Alright guys, so today we're talking about solving rational equations. Solving rational equations is very similar to when you add and subtract. You start by finding a common denominator on each side of the equation, simplify each side to one term, and then cross multiply and solve the variable. So you also have to check for extraneous solutions, which we've done in the past. So let's take a look at our first example here. We're looking for, when it's just numbers, what two numbers do each of these multiply in evenly? They both can make a 10, if that makes sense. So to make this one a 10, you multiply by 2 over 2. To make this one a 10, you multiply by 5 over 5. So on this side, you end up with 2y over 10 plus 5y over 10 equals 7. So now we combine, remember, since we have the same denominator, it's all going to be over 10. So 2y and 5y gives us 7y over 10 equals 7. So we got a common denominator. We simplified each side into one term. So now we got to cross multiply. Remember, this is like 7 over 1. When you cross multiply, you do like this, like you guys did back in grade school. So 7y times 1 is 7y. 10 times 7 is 70. Divide by 7. And y equals 10. Remember, you have to plug that back in to make sure it's not extraneous. So if we plug it back in, we'll do that over here. 10 over 5 plus 10 over 2 equals 7. Does 2 plus 5 equal 7? Yes, 7 equals 7, so that is correct. So y equals 10 is your solution. Okay, so take a minute, pause your video, whatever you do. You go ahead and try to solve the other one. So I'm working through it here. Make sure that you have the same thing I do. And then once you get to this point, you just solve for x. This is stuff that you guys should be very familiar with. So I got x equals 2, so I got to plug it back in. I'll do that up here. 3 times 2 minus 2 over 12 minus, I'm going to plug it into this one where I've already got common denominators, 2 over 12. Does that equal 1/6? Well, 3 times 2 is 6, minus 2 is, so does 4 over 12 minus 2 over 12 equal 1/6? 4 minus 2 is 2, so does 2 over 12 equal 1/6? Yes, it does. So this is definitely our answer. Okay, that's what you should have got on your own. I hope you paused it for a few minutes and tried it out. Alright, so let's look at example 2. We're just going to do a couple examples together here in the video, and then if you have questions later, then you can try to figure those out. So what does this side have that this side does not? Nothing, right? The only thing we need here is an x on this side to get both of them as a 3x. So we're going to multiply by x over x. So 11 over 3x minus x over 3x equals negative 4 over x squared. So they have the same denominator now. So we just go ahead and combine them. So they're both going to be over 3x, so 11 minus x equals negative 4 over x squared. This is where we're at right now. So now let's cross multiply. So we're going to go here and here. Remember, we have to distribute this to both parts. So when we do that, we're going to end up with 11x squared minus x cubed equals negative 12x. Okay? So, as always, when you have anything quadratic, you want to get everything on one side and order it properly. So over here we have negative x cubed plus 11x squared, and then we're going to add 12x plus 12x equals 0. And now we begin to factor. Well, we know that they all have an x in them, so we can take out an x. we'll take out a negative x. And we get x squared minus 11x minus 12. And then we factor, we should get what multiplies to make negative 11 and sums to negative 12. All right, so like I said, once you factor out your negative x, let's go back and factor this. So if you use the x method, what multiplies to make negative 12 and sums to negative 11 looks like negative 12 and 1. So we're going to say negative x on the outside, x minus 12, x plus 1. So remember, if you solve those, set each of these equal to 0, you're going to get x equals 0 from the negative x equals 12 from this parenthesis, and x equals negative 1 from this parenthesis. So there's your three solutions. But if you look, if you put x0 in the denominator, what happens to this function? Yeah, so if you put 0 in the denominator here, you get a restricted domain. Remember, you can't have 0 in the denominator, so if you put it in here, it's going to make it 0, and then you can't have that as your solution. So this is not a solution, but these two are. Okay? Now, I'll go back at the end of the video and write the answers to the U-try up here. That way, when you go back and look at them, you can find out. This one should be, you should get x equals 0 and x equals 2, but this is an extraneous solution. So give that a try and see if you can get that answer. Okay? Pause it for a few minutes and try to get it, and then once you get it, come back and we'll continue the video. All right. So I assumed you paused and went back and tried to solve the U-try. So let's look at the next example. The next example, you have an x plus 2 in this denominator and nothing in this denominator. So we need to get an x plus 2 there. So we'll have 4 over x plus 2 here, and we're going to multiply this by x plus 2 over x plus 2. And so we're going to say plus 3x plus 6. We got to multiply it out there. So plus 3x plus 6 over x plus 2. And now that they're both the same, we can put them both over x plus 2. And we can say 3x plus 10 equals 3x over x minus 3. Okay? Cross multiply. This one gets tricky with cross multiplying because you're actually going to have to FOIL in this case. So we're going to have, and I'm just going to write it out, 3x plus 10 times x minus 3 equals 3x times x plus 2. That was my cross multiplying. So when I FOIL, I get 3x squared minus 9x plus 10x and then minus 30 equals 3x squared plus 6x. Okay, so now I'm going to try to get everything on one side. When I get everything on one side, I end up with subtracting the 3x, subtracting the, I think this should have been, yeah, so this right here just becomes x. So if I move everything to one side, I get negative 5x minus 30 equals 0. So now I add my 30. So negative 5x equals 30. Divide by negative 5. And x equals 6. Okay? Negative 6, sorry. Plug that in to make sure it works, just like we were talking about before. And the fact that it does tells you that it is a solution. Okay? So now I want you to take a minute, do the U-try. Again, I'll tell you the answer should be x equals 9. So to pause your video for a few minutes, try the U-try, make sure you can get the answer. okay? Example 4 is just, I'm assuming you've tried the U-try, so let's look at example 4. Example 4 is very similar to example 3 in the fact that you got to get this denominator over here also. So we have x over x minus 2. Remember, we got to get this x minus 2 over x minus 2. So minus 7x plus 14. Remember, the minus has to go with it too, over x minus 2. So on this side, the left side of your equation, you're going to have x minus 7x. So you're going to have negative 6x. And we already distributed the negative here, so we can just say plus 14. So you have negative 6x plus 14 over x minus 2 equals 2 over x minus 2. So really, the denominators, so we're going to do cross multiply. When you cross multiply, you get negative 6x plus 14 times x minus 2. And we get, on the other side, 2 times x minus 2. Well, really, since you have x minus 2 on both sides, you can just get rid of those. So we have negative 6x plus 14 equals 2. Subtract your 14, and you get negative 6x. Sorry, I got off paper here. Subtract your 14, you get negative 6x equals negative 12. Divide by negative 6, x equals 2. If you look, if you plug in 2, right here, 2 minus 2 gives me 0, so that is no solution. So there is actually no solution. Okay, this one has no solution. So go ahead for the U-try. All right, guys, so now that we've done example 4, I want you to try to do the U-try from example 4. When doing this, make sure again that you multiply your middle number by what is needed on the denominator. I'm going to go ahead and tell you your answer. It should be no solution, but I want to see the work on your paper. So once you finish this, you're done. So I want you to show me all of the U-tries. So if you have not done them, make sure you go back and do them. That's your practice prior to getting your assignment. So try the U-tries on your own. Before you can get your classwork assignment, you have to show me your U-tries. All right? So go ahead and make sure you have those done. Once you finish all your U-tries, raise your hand. I'll give you your practice or homework, classwork for the day.